the rules of global trade are changing, and the stakes have never been higher. Today, we arm ourselves not with weapons, but with the knowledge and strategies to thrive in a tariff-torn world. Friends, colleagues, fellow citizens, we gather today in a world where the specter of trade tensions looms large. The era of the Trump tariffs, though its specifics may have shifted over time, has highlighted the vulnerability of our economic systems to unilateral trade actions. The question before us is not whether these tariffs will impact us, but how we can shield ourselves from their crushing weight. Let's begin with a fundamental principle. Diversification is our shield. To rely solely on one supplier, one market, or one investment avenue is to invite disaster. We must cultivate resilience by expanding our horizons. Businesses must explore alternative sourcing options, build relationships with diverse customer bases, and consider regional manufacturing. Individuals must diversify their investment portfolios, ensuring that their financial security is not tied to a single, potentially volatile economic sector. Next, we must embrace strategic cost management. Tariffs are, at their core, a tax on consumers and businesses. To survive, we must become lean and efficient. This means scrutinizing every expense, renegotiating contracts with suppliers, and optimizing our operational processes. We must seek cost-effective alternatives, explore domestic sourcing where feasible, and eliminate unnecessary expenditures. Furthermore, we must cultivate adaptability and innovation. The world is changing rapidly, and those who cling to outdated practices will be left behind. We must embrace new technologies, explore alternative materials, and develop innovative business models that can withstand the storms of trade disruption. This means investing in research and development, fostering a culture of creativity, and embracing the entrepreneurial spirit that has always been the engine of our economy. Finally, we must recognize the importance of advocacy and awareness. Trade policy is not a distant abstraction. It directly impacts our livelihoods. We must educate ourselves on the intricacies of trade agreements, engage with our elected officials, and support organizations that advocate for fair and balanced trade policies. We must make our voices heard, demanding transparency and accountability from those who shape our economic future. The Trump tariff economy, or any similar trade environment, presents a formidable challenge. But it is not insurmountable. By embracing diversification, practicing strategic cost management, fostering adaptability and innovation, and engaging in informed advocacy, we can protect ourselves and our communities from its potentially devastating effects. Let us not be passive victims of economic forces beyond our control. Let us be active participants in shaping our own destinies. Let us build a resilient and prosperous future, one that can withstand the challenges of a volatile global economy. Friends, innovators, leaders, and those who refuse to be defined by limitations, I want to delve deeper into a foundational principle, a cornerstone upon which we can build resilience against the unpredictable currents of global economics, particularly in the context of tariff-driven uncertainties. That principle, in its essence, is diversification is key. It might sound simple, almost axiomatic, yet its profound implications and the strategic depth it demands are often underestimated, especially when the winds of protectionism begin to blow. Imagine placing all your precious belongings in a single basket and then entrusting that basket to the whims of a turbulent market. The slightest tremor, the unexpected jolt, could send everything crashing down. This, metaphorically, is the precarious position we find ourselves in when we over-rely on singular avenues, be it a single source for critical materials, a solitary market for our products, or an undifferentiated investment portfolio. The imposition of tariffs, like a sudden sharp impact, can shatter these fragile dependencies, leaving businesses and individuals reeling from unforeseen costs and disrupted flows. Diversification, therefore, is not merely about spreading risk. It's about building inherent strength and optionality into our economic lives. It's about cultivating multiple pathways to success, ensuring that if one route is blocked by trade barriers or geopolitical shifts, others remain open and viable. Consider a manufacturing business heavily reliant on a single overseas supplier for a crucial component. When tariffs are slapped on imports from that nation, the cost of production skyrockets, profit margins erode, and the very competitiveness of the business is threatened. However, a business that has proactively cultivated relationships with multiple suppliers across different geographies is far better positioned to weather this storm. They can pivot to alternative sources, negotiate more favorable terms, or even explore domestic options, mitigating the immediate impact of the tariffs and maintaining their operational flow. This isn't just about having a plan B, it's about building a multifaceted operational ecosystem. Similarly, businesses that focus their sales efforts on a single export market become acutely vulnerable when that market imposes retaliatory tariffs or experiences economic downturn due to trade tensions. A diversified market strategy, on the other hand, allows businesses to absorb shocks in one region by leveraging opportunities in others. Exploring emerging markets, cultivating domestic sales channels, and adapting products to suit diverse consumer preferences create a more robust and adaptable revenue stream. This proactive market diversification is not simply about chasing volume. It's about building a global footprint that can withstand regional economic turbulence. The principle of diversification extends beyond businesses to individual financial well-being. Relying solely on a single income stream or investing all your savings in one asset class exposes you to significant risk. Job losses due to trade-related industry decline or a sharp downturn in a specific sector can have devastating consequences. Diversifying income sources, whether through multiple employment avenues, freelance work, or passive income streams, provides a crucial safety net. Similarly, a well-diversified investment portfolio spread across various asset classes like stocks, bonds, real estate, and commodities helps to cushion against market volatility and the specific impacts of tariffs on certain industries. This isn't about chasing quick returns. It's about building long-term financial security through strategic allocation. Furthermore, diversification fosters innovation and resilience. When businesses are forced to look beyond their traditional suppliers or markets, they often discover new technologies, alternative materials, and more efficient processes. This constant exploration and adaptation make them more agile and competitive in the long run, regardless of the prevailing trade winds. It pushes us beyond complacency and encourages a mindset of continuous improvement and strategic foresight. The Trump tariff era served as a stark reminder of the fragility of highly concentrated economic dependencies. While the specifics of trade policies may evolve, the underlying principle remains. Putting all your eggs in one basket is a recipe for potential disaster in an interconnected but often unpredictable global economy. Embracing diversification in our supply chains, our markets, our investments, and even our skill sets is not just a defensive strategy. It is a proactive approach to building long-term stability and prosperity. It is about creating multiple anchors that can hold us steady amidst the storms of global trade, ensuring that we are not crushed by the weight of unilateral actions but instead emerge stronger, more adaptable, and more resilient in the face of economic uncertainty. Imagine a ship navigating treacherous waters, its hull laden with cargo, facing a rising tide of unforeseen expenses. This, in essence, is the challenge posed by tariff-induced economic pressures. The second keynote, strategic cost management, is not merely about trimming the fat. It's about fundamentally rethinking how we operate, how we allocate resources, and how we build sustainable economic models in the face of escalating costs. It is not a reactive measure, but a proactive strategy to ensure survival and thrive amidst the economic headwinds. Tariffs, at their core, are a tax, a levy that increases the cost of imported goods, rippling through supply chains and ultimately impacting consumers. For businesses, this translates to higher input costs, squeezed profit margins, and a constant battle to maintain competitiveness. For individuals, it means rising prices for everyday goods, impacting purchasing power and financial stability. In this environment, a passive approach to cost management is a recipe for economic erosion. Strategic cost management begins with a meticulous examination of every line item on the balance sheet. It demands a ruthless prioritization of essential expenditures, a willingness to challenge long-held assumptions, and a relentless pursuit of efficiency. It's about questioning every process, every contract, and every resource allocation to identify areas where costs can be reduced without sacrificing quality or long-term growth. For businesses, this means renegotiating contracts with suppliers, exploring alternative sourcing options, and optimizing production processes to minimize waste. It's about leveraging technology to automate tasks, streamline operations, and enhance productivity. It's about investing in training and development to empower employees to identify and implement cost-saving measures. It's about fostering a culture of frugality and efficiency, where every dollar is treated as a precious resource. However, strategic cost management is not simply about cutting corners. It's about making intelligent, data-driven decisions that enhance long-term value. It's about investing in technologies and processes that reduce costs in the long run, even if they require upfront investment. It's about building resilient supply chains that can withstand disruptions and volatility. It's about focusing on core competencies and outsourcing non-essential functions to specialized providers. For individuals, strategic cost management translates to mindful budgeting, disciplined spending, and a focus on value. It's about distinguishing between needs and wants, prioritizing essential expenses, and avoiding unnecessary debt. It's about seeking out cost-effective alternatives, negotiating better deals, and leveraging technology to manage finances effectively. It's about building an emergency fund to cushion against unexpected expenses and economic downturns. In the face of tariff-induced cost pressures, strategic cost management becomes a competitive advantage. Businesses that can effectively manage costs are better positioned to weather economic storms, maintain profitability, and capture market share. Individuals who can manage their finances effectively are better equipped to protect their financial security and achieve their long-term goals. It's not about surviving, it's about strategically positioning yourself to thrive in any economic climate. This requires a shift in mindset, a willingness to challenge the status quo, and a relentless pursuit of efficiency and value. It's about building a foundation of financial resilience that can withstand the ebb and flow of global trade. We must remember that every dollar saved is a dollar earned. Every efficiency gained is a step towards greater competitiveness. Every mindful decision is a testament to our commitment to long-term prosperity. This is not about fear, but about empowerment. We are not victims of circumstance, but architects of our own financial futures. Through strategic cost management, we seize control, navigate the challenges, and emerge stronger, more resilient, and more prosperous. Imagine a mighty river encountering a dam. Its relentless flow, if rigid and unyielding, will be halted, its energy dissipated against an immovable barrier. However, a river that can adapt, that can carve new channels, find alternative routes, and even harness the dam structure for its own power generation, will not only persist but will emerge with newfound strength and purpose. This analogy encapsulates the essence of our third key note: adaptability and innovation. In an economic landscape shaped by the unpredictable forces of tariffs and trade disruptions, the ability to evolve, to innovate, and to embrace change is not merely advantageous. It is the very cornerstone of survival and future success. The imposition of tariffs is often a catalyst for disruption, shaking established norms and challenging conventional wisdom. For businesses, this might manifest as sudden increases in input costs, the closure of key export markets, or the erosion of competitive advantages built on established global supply chains. For individuals, it could mean job displacement in affected industries or a shift in the demand for certain skills. In such a dynamic environment, clinging to outdated practices and resisting change is akin to the rigid river facing the dam, an inevitable stagnation and potential demise. Adaptability, in this context, means possessing the agility and willingness to adjust strategies, operations, and even fundamental business models in response to evolving circumstances. It requires a proactive mindset, a constant scanning of the horizon for emerging threats and opportunities, and a readiness to pivot when necessary. For businesses, this could involve exploring new sourcing regions, developing alternative product lines that are less susceptible to tariffs, or even reshoring production to mitigate import duties. It demands a flexible organizational structure, empowered employees who can embrace new challenges, and a leadership that fosters a culture of continuous learning and improvement. Innovation, the inseparable partner of adaptability, is the engine that drives the creation of new solutions and the unlocking of untapped potential. When faced with tariff-induced constraints, businesses are compelled to think creatively, to develop novel processes, and to leverage technology in unprecedented ways. This could involve investing in automation to reduce reliance on tariffed labor, exploring the use of alternative materials that are not subject to import duties, or developing entirely new business models that circumvent traditional trade barriers, such as direct-to-consumer sales or the creation of digital products and services. Innovation is not a luxury. It is a necessity for navigating a disrupted economic landscape and forging new paths to prosperity. For individuals, adaptability and innovation translate into a commitment to lifelong learning, the acquisition of new skills that are in high demand, and a willingness to explore unconventional career paths. The tariff economy might reshape the job market, creating new opportunities in some sectors while diminishing others. Those who are adaptable, who are willing to retrain and reskill, and who can identify emerging trends will be best positioned to navigate these shifts and thrive in the evolving landscape. Innovation, at the individual level, can mean embracing entrepreneurial endeavors, leveraging digital platforms to create new income streams, or developing unique skills that set them apart in a competitive job market. The challenges posed by a tariff-driven economy should not be viewed as insurmountable obstacles but rather as powerful catalysts for transformation. Just as pressure can forge diamonds, economic constraints can spark ingenuity and drive us to discover capabilities we never knew we possessed. The stories of human progress are replete with examples of individuals and organizations that have not only survived adversity but have emerged stronger and more innovative as a result. Therefore, let us embrace adaptability not as a sign of weakness but as a testament to our resilience and resourcefulness. Let us foster a culture of innovation, where new ideas are encouraged, experimentation is valued, and the pursuit of better solutions is relentless. Let us be like the river that, when faced with a barrier, does not simply surrender but instead finds new ways to flow, to adapt, and to ultimately harness the very forces that sought to impede its progress. In the face of economic uncertainty, our ability to adapt and innovate will be the key that unlocks new doors of opportunity and ensures our continued growth and prosperity. Imagine yourself standing on the shore, watching the tide recede, unaware of the powerful currents that govern its ebb and flow. Similarly, in the realm of economics, particularly concerning trade policies like tariffs, a lack of understanding and engagement can leave us vulnerable to forces that significantly impact our livelihoods and futures. This brings us to our fourth crucial principle: advocacy and awareness. It is not enough to simply react to the consequences of trade policies. We must proactively understand them, engage with the processes that shape them, and advocate for outcomes that serve our best interests. This is not a passive observation of economic events. It is an active participation in shaping our economic destiny. Tariffs are not abstract concepts confined to the halls of government and international trade organizations. They are tangible policies with real-world consequences, affecting the prices we pay for goods, the competitiveness of our businesses, and the availability of jobs in our communities. To remain ignorant of these policies and the debates surrounding them is to relinquish control over our economic well-being. Awareness begins with education, with taking the initiative to understand the basics of trade agreements, the arguments for and against tariffs, and the potential impact of these policies on our specific industries, professions, and personal finances. This requires seeking out reliable information, engaging in thoughtful discussions, and critically evaluating the narratives presented by various stakeholders. However, awareness alone is insufficient. Like understanding the currents without knowing how to navigate them, mere knowledge without action leaves us susceptible to being swept away. Advocacy is the active component, the process of using our knowledge and our voices to influence the direction of trade policy. This can take many forms, from contacting our elected officials to express our views, to supporting industry associations that represent our interests, to participating in public consultations and debates on trade issues. It means making our concerns known, presenting well-reasoned arguments, and collaborating with others who share similar goals. For businesses, advocacy can involve working with trade organizations to lobby for policies that promote fair competition and open markets. It might mean engaging with government agencies to provide data and insights on the potential impact of proposed tariffs on their operations and supply chains. It could also involve educating their customers and employees about the complexities of international trade and the potential consequences of protectionist measures. Collective action through industry groups can amplify individual voices and create a more powerful impact on policy decisions. For individuals, advocacy can be as simple as writing a letter to a representative, participating in online forums to share informed opinions, or supporting organizations that advocate for consumer interests and fair trade. Practices. It means holding our elected officials accountable for the economic consequences of their decisions and demanding transparency in the policymaking process. Every voice, when informed and engaged, contributes to the broader dialogue and can play a role in shaping the future of trade. The complexities of international trade can often feel daunting, leading to a sense of powerlessness. However, it is crucial to remember that policy decisions are ultimately made by individuals who are accountable to their constituents. By becoming informed and engaged citizens, we can exert influence and ensure that our voices are heard in the debates that shape our economic future. Advocacy is not about demanding special favors. It is about ensuring that trade policies are fair, transparent, and conducive to long-term economic prosperity for all. In a world where protectionist sentiments can gain traction and the temptation to impose trade barriers can be strong, the vigilance and engagement of informed citizens and businesses are more critical than ever. We cannot afford to be passive bystanders as decisions are made that will profoundly impact our economic lives. We must be active participants in the conversation, armed with knowledge and driven by a commitment to a fair and prosperous future. Advocacy and awareness are not burdens. They are our rights and our responsibilities in a democratic society and a globalized economy. By embracing them, we empower ourselves and contribute to a more stable and equitable economic landscape for generations to come. In closing, we've explored the multifaceted strategies needed to navigate the challenges posed by a tariff-driven economy. Diversification, strategic cost management, adaptability and innovation, and advocacy and awareness are not merely theoretical concepts. They are practical tools that empower us to take control of our economic destinies. By embracing these principles, we can build resilience, foster prosperity, and ensure that we are not passive victims of economic forces, but active architects of our own futures. The road ahead may be uncertain, but it is not insurmountable. We possess the ingenuity, the determination, and the collective strength to overcome any obstacle. Let us move forward with confidence, knowing that by working together, by embracing change, and by advocating for our shared interests, we can build a more secure and prosperous future for ourselves and for generations to come. Thank you for your attention, your engagement, and your commitment to building a stronger economic future. Your participation in this dialogue is invaluable, and I am confident that together we can navigate the challenges and seize the opportunities that lie ahead. Thank you.